Welcome everybody to the HubSpot user group Q1 presentation. So we're going to be talking about video pre-production today, types of videos, strategy, and preparation. Really, we do this every quarter, so we break it into a yearly event in a sense where Q1 is always pre-production, Q2 is going to talk about production, Q3 post-production, and Q4 promotion and analysis on statistics and whatnot. So if you haven't registered for the other three Hug events, make sure that you head over to the page and register up because all these hugs kind of follow a certain linear path. And by the end of viewing all four events, the idea there is that you're ready from beginning to end and understand how video marketing works and how we can continue to get successful efforts from video. So we'll go ahead and jump into this presentation now. Quick introduction. My name is Aaron Oberdick. I'm the video marketing manager at Nextiny Marketing.
And my name is Corey Christian. I am the multimedia marketer here at Nextiny Marketing.
Awesome. So Corey and I together, we kind of handle all client videos that come in as well as some internal work. We do some video series. We've done a number of animation videos, education videos. So kind of across the board, we have our hand in that kind of work. Um, so let's hop into the video hug agenda, what we're going to be discussing today. In the first section, we're going to go into why video, right? So, first and foremost, you might be thinking, great, video should be an effective part of my strategy, but why video, right? So, we're going to go over some statistics of why people are using video in their marketing strategies. Then we'll hop over to some video concepts. So a lot of people struggle with ideas and what videos they want to be creating first. We're going to go through a whole list that we have and talk about the first ideas that we created at Nextiny, and then some good ideas of what you guys should be doing to create videos as well. Then we'll hop into the pre-production work. So what we do at Nextiny on a pre-production level, what we should be looking for, and all the documentation we want to create before hitting that record button. And then last, we'll go over the pillars of an at-home video setup. So a lot of people are always questioning us and asking us, what's the best gear to utilize regarding cameras, um, audio devices, lighting devices, everything in that nature. And we're going to talk about just kind of some umbrella stuff there. Talk about cameras, talk about some recorders and whatnot. And that way, you should have a good idea of what you need to start recording video as well. All right, so just some quick cleanup work here before we jump into the actual presentation. If you guys aren't part of the HubSpot community, definitely head over to the link that Corey just put in the chat and join there. We have over 1,000 members now, and it's growing every day. We're seeing a lot of activity as well in there where people are talking about, video strategies, video production, really just anything related to video that's HubSpot oriented. You can swing over there, ask a question. And of course, it works like a forum board. So it's a 24/7 situation. You're going to get people responding from all over the world at all different times. So if you have any specific questions regarding HubSpot video or just video in general, definitely join the community and ask your questions over there, and we'll have answers associated to your posts. All right, so let's hop into the bulk of the presentation this week. And first and foremost, why video, right? Most people are saying, yeah, like I hear all these people on the internet telling me I really need to start incorporating video into my marketing strategy, into my sales efforts. But why? What's the advantage? And why should I go through all the effort of learning all this to add it into my strategy, right? So that's what we're going to be discussing first. And first and foremost, the play button is the most compelling call to action on the web, right? Most people are interacting with videos more than any other medium on the web. And we can see that with this next slide here. Video gets 5 times the average engagement versus images. So you're noticing that just overall plays and engagement viewership, it's significantly better than pictures. 4.5 times the engagement versus linked posts on social media, right? So people are much more in tune with watching a video that's embedded versus heading over to an external link. And then people are watching 2.5 hours of video every day on average. So this is really crucial. This is growing every single year. I think just 3 or 4 years ago, when I started to compile all these statistics when I first got to Nextiny, this was at 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So people are digesting video on a lot more regular basis. As formats and as mediums grow and become easier to view that, right? So definitely growing in that aspect, but videos uploaded is also growing. We can see, of course, with the pandemic and then into 2020, video kind of hit its peaking point. And of course, naturally, we're going to fall off a little bit as that year progresses because people now are starting to go in person and do meetings and whatnot. So it is a little bit of a drop off, but it's still significantly higher than as we moved into the pandemic, right? So pre-pandemic, we saw videos uploaded were a bit lower, and then as we kind of moved into this isolation situation, videos really ramped up. So we're seeing that on the forefront. Minutes of video watched, of course, we just discussed that. It's up 121% throughout the years. And this is a big one. A number of businesses using video as a marketing tool has increased by 41% since 2016. So you can see in 2016, about 60%. So 3 out of every 5 marketing companies said, yeah, we do some sort of video in some capacity. And now you can see up to 2022, we're up to 86%. So 4 out of 5, even more than 4 out of 5 marketing companies are saying that they're using video in their strategy. And on top of that, 92% of marketers who use videos say it's an important part of their marketing strategy. So definitely more companies are implementing video, but also companies are realizing how important video is to their strategies. So definitely a good idea to obviously start looking at this aspect if you're not doing any sort of video in any capacity for your company. And then the big point for 2021 and 2022 as well was accessibility. So we saw a lot more accessibility across the board. There's a 13.5% increase there. And this is really pertaining to, if you're on any sort of social media and you're scrolling through, a lot of videos will autoplay now as you kind of just scroll over them. And you'll see closed captioning has become a huge thing, right? People are watching videos on silence as the video just starts autoplaying. Now you're seeing all of those closed captions and you're able to kind of read all the subtitles to the video. So sometimes you don't even need to listen to the audio of video. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of accessibility grow in this aspect. So definitely a thing to keep in mind. If you're doing video already, start adding those closed captionings, start adding those subtitles because you will see those efforts increase the number of views watched, the number of hours retained, and so on and so forth. All right, so we talked about why video, right? Obviously, statistics are great and all, but you might be thinking, yeah, I really want to start creating videos. I just don't know where to start. And that's kind of where this concept list comes in. You can see this is our very overwhelmingly page of 100 video ideas. Corey and I spent some time racking our brains trying to figure out, let's think of literally every video concept we can record today for Nextity. And so we just started spitting ideas. Of course, when we hit a lull point, we start doing some research online. And so this is a huge list. If you're saying, I don't know where to begin, take a look at this list. Just start, looking at ideas. You might come across one and say, yeah, that's going to hit the nail on the head for my company. And I'm going to create that today. So this is a great starting point, but we kind of narrowed it down here as we go into it. Video ideas to start with. The top 4 are super easy. You can do it right here from your computer and record straight into your webcam. Sales outreach calls. This is really important. You can personalize an email, record a video, and when you send that sales outreach email, now you can attach a video with your face to it. And you can even go as far as personalizing it in the video and sending it to that person. Internal training videos, video voicemails, testimonials. These are all great fortifying videos that you can create for your company to just continue to help new employees or fortify trust. So a lot going on here. But I want to talk about kind of the top 5 videos that we put together and we compiled at Nextiny, and we realized there's a lot of benefits to creating these. And the first one is going to be an email signature video. So you can see from the slide here, we have a screenshot from one of our clients that we recorded an email signature video, and he found that it was significantly improved his scheduling for new client potential, right? So what we did was we created this email signature for him, and at the end, we added a call to action to schedule a meeting with him. And he saw his meetings increase significantly. And in turn, he got some new clients via that. So it really just goes beyond the standard intro email, right? It adds a face to the name. Um, It provides clear contact information and role transparency. So, like I was just saying, you can add a link at the end with a call to action to call you, email you, schedule a meeting, so on and so forth. But it's also a great way to just show off your amazing team, right? We at Nextany, we have a team relatively small, about a dozen of us or so. And so adding these email signatures to any email we send out, now it's putting our face on that email. And at any given moment, someone can say, I want to meet this person. I want to understand who they are. And then they can click on the thumbnail, go to the video, watch it, and they can get a good idea of who we are before they even speak to us in a meeting or in person or whatever it may be. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next one here. Uh, oh, nope. We're actually sorry about that. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to talk about what you should be doing and what you should be avoiding for email signature videos, right? First and foremost, keep it short and sweet. You know, about 30 seconds is a really good point to aim for. You don't want to go above 60 because then people are going, hey, this should just be telling me who this person is and what their role is. But I'm not going to digest a 2.5 minute email signature video. 30 seconds is kind of that sweet point. Like we just talked about, including that preferred method to contact you, going as far as adding a calendar link to connect with you, and then mentioning something personable or relatable about yourself. That kind of just breaks the ice. It doesn't seem like it's so monotonous and boring. And hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. I work for blah, blah, blah. Obviously can say that. But if you just want to add a personal touch, mentioning something personable or relatable is always nice. Things you want to avoid in an email signature. Don't fill it with too much content. Like I just said, no one's going to digest a 2.5 minute email signature. Don't read from a script, making sure you keep it as organic as possible. A lot of people, as they start to create their first videos, especially with their email signatures, they write down in a script format, word for word, what they want to say. They put it on their computer screen, they record it. And then when they finalize it, they realize that their eyeballs are going left and right. And it's very visible that they're reading. So, you can create a script and try to reference it, but never read it when you're recording. And then last, don't add anything distracting in the background, right? Noises, background sounds, visuals, really anything that's going to be distracting from the viewer watching your video. Make sure that that is avoided at all costs. Something as simple as if your window's open and a motorcycle drives past right in the middle of your recording, that obviously is going to ruin it or distract the viewer if you post it as well. So just avoid anything distracting in your video. All right, skipping on to the next video we're going to talk about is a homepage video, right? This is super important because this is the first situation where someone's going to come to your website and click play on that button. And next thing you know, they're going to digest your company's brand for the very first time. So it's really important to hit the nail on the head in the tone and the messaging for your homepage video. Video has extremely better recall than text, as we went over at the beginning of this presentation, and people are going to remember it over text. So it's a great way to connect personally with potential clients. It's a great way to show off your team, just like email signatures. And more importantly, it's to create your brand voice. Now, what you want to do and what you want to avoid for email signature videos, first and foremost, make your value proposition clear, right? You don't want to spew a bunch of information and say, this is all our products and services, and this is what we offer, and throw a whole cobweb of ideas at someone. You want to be very clear and concise and then display what your proposition is in a very clear manner. Then you want to know your audience, right? Your buyer personas. You want to know who's viewing it. That way you can keep the tone correct to your audience. Another thing is testing out auto playing video, right? So a lot of people have several ideas for homepage videos. Maybe they're caught and stuck between the idea of making it a little bit more fun and quirky or more professional and serious. Create both videos and then do A/B testing. So A/B testing is a feature in a number of different video hosting platforms where you can basically say, I want this video on our homepage 50% of the time we have organic searches, and then this video 50% of the time. And then you can do a study over a set amount of time, let's say 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And you can see who's engaging with what videos on a better basis. Judging off of the statistics, then you can say, okay, this video is definitely improving or definitely just performing better overall. So let's make sure that this is our homepage video. And then let's go ahead and take this one down. Putting your video front and center on your website, of course, that is crucial. You don't want it to be hidden on some sort of back page at the bottom in the footer. And then last, be authentic to your brand, right? You always want to make sure that you're kind of speaking to your brand in the correct manner, with the right tone, with the right pitch. Because if you start going, off in a different direction, then it's going to just create this confusion for the viewer. So just be authentic to your brand. And then things you want to avoid for a homepage video. Don't set super broad analytical goals, right? Don't say, I want a million visits or a million views on my video in the first month, right? That's super broad and no one cares about just views. We need to dig into the analytics a little bit more, into engagement, click through rates, things like that. And you can set specific goals based on what the video is to achieve those goals. Another thing is don't get too detailed, right? No one wants to watch a homepage video that's 13 minutes long and listens to every single value proposition and every service and every product you offer. There are several video ideas that we can create from all of those ideas, right? We can come up with a products or service page, which is actually another video we'll talk about. In terms of a homepage video, just again, make your value proposition clear and don't get too detailed. Don't go beyond what is unnecessary. And then this kind of coincides with that. Don't sacrifice good copy, right? A lot of people will try to jam as much information as possible into their homepage video. And then they realize they could have saved a lot of that information and create a blog post out of it. And then in turn, take that blog post and then create a separate video from it, right? So we're just repurposing certain content. So again, don't sacrifice good content to just cram all into your homepage video. All right, so the third video what we're going to talk about is a sales FAQ video and just an FAQ video in general, really. It removes friction from the entire sales process. It creates validity, it creates transparency with potential leads, and it provides helpful information to assist the lead in making a decision. So typically, these videos are going to be for if your sales team is receiving a lot of questions repeatedly about the same stuff, and let's say you even have an FAQ blog on your website, because a lot of companies do, you know, take a video and repurpose that blog and re-record a video into it, right? What we can do is we can take all of those things, add it into one video, and you can see how it's going to be very beneficial when we start adding some features into it. So going into those features, right? What to do and what to avoid in a sales FAQ video. First and foremost, keep your buyer's persona in mind, right? Answer those recurring questions to optimize those videos' effectiveness. Keep the information succinct, right? That's really important because let's say you have a product that's time consuming or um, time fragile or time sensitive. That's what I'm looking for. Um, you know, it could be outdated, right? You could create a video and then in 6 months it could be completely outdated. So making sure that it's always up to date. Invite the viewer to contact you for additional information or discuss their needs further. So that's really important as well, because let's say they watch this FAQ video and you didn't answer their specific questions. Okay, now here's the email signature or email that you can send over to us to reach us and ask more questions. And this is the most important. And I was just talking about features in this video. Add chapters for each question into your final video. And this is crucial because someone might click on that sales FAQ video and they might see it be 20 minutes long. And it's like, whoa, that's extremely overwhelming. I'm never going to find the question I'm looking for. With chapters, you're able to kind of break it up and someone can come to the video and then they read all the chapters and they go, okay, question 7 at minute 7:13 is the exact thing I'm looking for. They click on it, it auto skips right to that section. They can digest what they're looking for and they can leave the video without really, digesting all the other FAQs that they don't is not really relevant. So chapters is super important for FAQs. And then things you want to avoid. Don't mix FAQs together, right? Keep it very consistent and one at a time. If you start mixing everything, one person's problem mixes with another person's problem, and it then creates a whole new problem, right? So definitely keep it very clear and don't cover extremely specific cases, right? You don't want to bring light to a situation or a problem where it was only with one person, right? Because now you're bringing light to that, and now 100 people realize this could be an issue, and so they that might factor into their decision process when it's to hire you for your product or service or whatever it may be. So don't cover extremely specific cases. All right, so video 4 is going to be a product or service promo. We found a lot of success with these with our clients. It gives a customer a firsthand look into that product or service, right? So if I take a step back here, we were just talking about homepage video. Don't overcomplicate it, don't add too much information. This is a completely separate video from your homepage video, but it is now talking about all your services you offer or the products you offer, right? And it just creates transparency to everything you offer. Now, things you want to do or avoid in one of these videos, right? Keep it as close to your brand as possible. Of course, that kind of speaks for itself. You don't want to go off in a completely different direction or tone from what you're offering. Make additional versions to share on social media. That's important as well because some people might come to your products or service page and they see it's a 5-minute video, but they also might stumble across a 60-second version of it on, let's say, Facebook. And they watch that 60-second version and now that they've piqued their interest, that can now link to the full video, which will take them to your website. So, always making additional versions to share on social media is a good idea. Becoming timely with it, right? Is it a product launch? Is it an update? As we were just saying in the sales FAQ, if you answer a question, but then your product becomes updated and then you nullify that older question, you're nullifying the video essentially. So be timely and making sure that it's always succinct with the times, and then choose the best style that fits the needs of the video, right? Would an animated video work better to promote or explain your product? Maybe it's a product that people use in real life. So just taking consideration, what type of video would be best suited for my product or service demo, and then things you want to avoid, right? Don't make it too extremely long. Show key parts of the process or product. You don't have to go into every nitty gritty detail. And then, second, don't push the sale, right? You're just bringing transparency to your product to help the sale for you. And we'll actually go into some ideas and videos and where they kind of fall into the flywheel, right? So, again, we're not pushing the sale, we are fortifying the trust, or we're building transparency. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that more in later slides. And then the last video idea I want to talk about that we found a lot of success with is customer testimonials, right? Let the customers do the talking for you. This is a great way to show tangible results, authenticity, to showcase your quality of service and communication with existing clients, right? And they're really easy to create as well. You can do them via Zoom. Of course, the one that we have screenshotted here, we went out on site and recorded it. But it's really to fortify the trust to the customers that's looking to purchase your product or service. So, what you should do and what you should avoid for a testimonial video, right? Showcasing real footage of your service or product being used by the client. Of course, again, fortifying the trust. We'll find that common theme within all of these. Using a singular case study. Of course, there are other ideas where people will mix and match testimonials to create kind of like this over encompassing one testimonial video. And that's not a bad idea at all. But just adding singular case studies, one, two, three, rather than combining all three. And now they have three separate videos to watch. And again, fortify the trust in three separate areas. Ask the client to walk through their journey working with you to bring transparency to that whole process, right? So, how easy was it to work with you? What the process was like, the tangible results that they found, or how it benefited them. Everything should be included into this story. So, make sure you capture that whole process. And then, of course, prepare questions in case you need to walk them through that everything step by step. So, a lot of people get uncomfortable on camera. So, you want to make them at ease. And then, of course, preparing questions will do that in the best manner. Things you want to avoid, of course, asking the client to say anything that wasn't authentic to their experience. And then don't forget to set expectations, right? Make sure that they understand the story that they need to tell. I just mentioned people get uncomfortable on camera. And when you get a customer who's not really doing this on a regular basis, they might start to go on tangents and start to go all over the place. So just kind of rope them in and don't forget to set the expectations that they just need to tell their story in a concise manner and then wrap it up. So let us know. Of course, we want to know in the chat. Let us have you created any of these videos before? Are these good ideas that you think will hit the nail on the head for future ideas? Of course, if you have any questions about these as well, let us know. We're happy to answer that. So we went over why video and we went over some video marketing concepts. Now I want to jump over to video pre-production, right? That's what this hug is called. But we need to kind of set all of those up to now get into pre-production. You need to come up with a video a concept before you can jump into everything you need to do before you hit the record button. So that's what we're going to be talking about now. And first and foremost, what type of video are you going to be creating? I mentioned when we were talking about the product or service video, you're going to see each type of video kind of falls in line with the flywheel or the funnel if we take it a step further. So, different videos, different stages there. Education and branding is always going to fall at the top, right? This is bringing awareness to your brand. You're not trying to teach them about specific details to get them to make a decision. Again, you're just bringing the awareness. Then you have product or explainer videos. That's going to gauge their interest, right? They're now aware and now they're gauging their interest to see where they are at in that funnel. Excuse me. The decision process, that's where video testimonials come in and really work well. I said the word fortify trust like 4 or 5 times when we were talking about um, video testimonials. You'll find that as people are trying to make that decision, they're watching other users experience and go, wow, this person had a great experience. Let me watch this one. This person had a great experience. Again, bringing the client to that decision making process and then kind of getting them over the line. And then once they've made that decision, the actionable results, right? Using your product or service, taking it the next level. That's where training videos and FAQ videos really fall in line. So if you're struggling to maybe kind of close people in the loop, or maybe you're just struggling people to come to your website, you could take a look at the funnel and the flywheel here and really understand kind of that the biggest friction point that you're maybe having with customers or clients, and then creating a video to alleviate that specific situation to kind of get them moving through that flywheel or that funnel. All right, so let's talk about some video goals, right? And in the HubSpot manner, we like to do SPARK goals in this acronym here. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevancy, and timely. It's really important because, of course, this kind of nails on the head 5 points that we really want to get across when creating our outlines. So keeping it specific, keeping that video goal as specific as possible. We talked a little bit earlier. Don't set super broad goals for videos. I want 1 million views on the first day because it needs to go viral. No, you want to make sure that you're setting a goal that's realistic and achievable. Measurable is the goal being able to be tracked and measured. That's where video hosting platforms come in. Of course, YouTube has analytics, but if you pay for a hosting platform, let's say like Wistia, or even use HubSpot Video's free hosting, you'll get a lot more detailed analytics that you're able to actually measure and realize, did I achieve my goal or not? Then attainable. Is your goal actually obtainable? Again, 1 million views in one day, not attainable. Setting an attainable goal and making sure that you obtain that in the manner that you set that time frame for. Then relevancy. Is the goal even worthwhile? Will it achieve the needs we're looking for? Maybe you're just looking to close more customers, and that's where you go to creating more testimonials to just get them through that decision making factor. Okay, well, I want this testimonial to close 3 customers by the end of the year. That might be a more achievable and attainable goal. Is that relevant? Well, yeah, I'm trying to get more customers, right? So making sure that the goal is relevant, and then timely, creating an overall timeline to achieve those goals in a timely manner. The worst thing is when you try to set this goal and you're going through all the process of all this pre-production work, but you've spent so much time here that time has moved on, right? And now you're not able to actually achieve your goals because the video is not being recorded, not being edited, not being uploaded, and not being viewed, right? So just make sure that you don't sit and stick to one part. Make sure that you're kind of getting through the entire pre-production process in a very clear manner. That way you're ready to record and get the video out in a timely manner. All right, so now we want to talk a little bit about a brief and an outline. So, in terms of pre-production, the way it works for at Nextany is when we come up with an okay, we need to create a video for a client, we will create a brief first. A brief is basically where Corey and I will meet and just jot down brainstormed ideas, right? We're jotting down anything, we'll sketch it on a piece of paper, we could even go out to lunch and just do it on a napkin. Really, a brief is not meant to be formal at all. It's just to outline the details of the video. What type of video is it? Where are we at in the funnel for the video, right? Putting all of this information down. What's the buyer's persona? What's our target audience for this video? Things like that. And then the outline is basically a formulated document that you create from your brief. So everyone's on the same page. You can print it out, you can take it to the video shoot, and then at any given moment, someone can always look back at this outline and get the full information of what they're looking for and what we're trying to achieve with this video, right? So what type of video are you going to create? Establish that first in the brief. Select those main topics, right? So, you might select 3 topics that kind of pertain in the video. Determine those goals. What do you want the viewer to take away? Determine the takeaways. What should someone be walking away with that information when they're finished watching? And then again, specific demographic you're targeting with the video. All of these things you should be thinking about when creating that brief. So then you can take all that info and then go dump it into a formalized outline and wrap it up. All right. Moving on here, the pillars of video production. So I know we talk a bit about pre-production. Of course, if you guys have questions about any of that, if you want an example brief or outline, of course, you can ask us there as well because we have that. But I want to jump into the pillars of video production because a lot of people always say, yeah, I know a lot of that information. I know that the video I want to make. I know even why I should be making it, but what do I create it with, right? Like the cameras, the gear. And so we have the 4 pillars that we talk about, right? Camera, microphone, lighting, and then taking those 3 pieces of equipment together to create the optimal frame. But we're going to jump into cameras, and I'm going to let Corey kind of take over and talk a little bit more about this. But I want to say first and foremost with gear, the best gear is the gear you have. So a lot of people will go out and say, you got to buy this camera, you got to buy that camera. Next thing you know, you're spending thousands of dollars. When in reality, you have an amazing cell phone in your pocket that can shoot really great video today. So I just wanted to preemptively say that before we go into all this gear, because Corey's going to talk a lot, different price points and different gear points and what they do and why they benefit you. But at the end of the day, utilizing the gear that you have will be the best situation. And then, of course, once you get into video and you start realizing, yeah, my cell phone does have its limitations, that's when you would jump to these kind of steps. So I'm going to hand it over to Corey now and let him kind of talk a bit about cameras and whatnot, and we'll wrap it up at the end here. So,
Yeah, sure. So yeah, kind of just to touch on that, certainly it's not so much the gear that you're using, so much as how you're utilizing it, right? So, um, the most important thing with these cameras is that it allows you to start doing something that, like, for example, webcams cannot do. Your cell phone can do it as well, but it's the ability to start to move the camera and to get different angles, to get nice close-ups, to feature your products, right? So these are really useful for kind of stepping up that quality. And we've selected a number of kind of cameras here that are just kind of representative of what's available in the market right now, kind of on the intro level. Again, certainly, there's a whole range of this stuff, and to be honest, your cell phone can compete with a lot of options in the market, but if you're looking to get to something kind of on that next level, these are really good choices. The one on the left here is the Sony A7 III. These go for around $2,000 or so, probably a little less even now. They are a really great full frame entry level camera. We have a number of them. They're a little limited in their record quality in terms of, they don't do like 10-bit 422 color. That's kind of the other 2 cameras there. But it is really good in low light. It has a really nice sensor on it. And there's plenty of accessories and lenses and just kind of tools in the Sony ecosystem at this point. It's one of the most popular mirrorless, I think, if not the most popular mirrorless brand of cameras out there. So there's tons of just kind of accessories and things. If you are looking for maybe, an even additional step up in quality from there, there is something like that Canon R6 right in the middle. Um, it's kind of one of those cameras where there's not much more you could ask for. It's got 4K 60p 1080 at 120, um 422 10-bit coloring, so really really rich and deep colors, full frame autofocus, stabilized, like, the list goes on and on and on and on. It's got whatever you need in it. It's got log profiles, all that. So there's kind of nothing for like 90% of people. There's everything you need is in this camera in the middle, and that's like $2,500 or so. They just released a new model as well, so these ones might have come down even a little. But it's a really really solid option, if you're just looking to purchase something once and just know that you're set for, I mean, years at this point as far as that would go. There, it's going to be a really solid option. And then the one over on the right, that's the Panasonic Lumix GH6. This can actually do almost 6K quality video to it, so it's even kind of a bump up in resolution. You can see the sensor's smaller than the other two, so it's not as good in like low light condition, for example. But it's very, very stabilized. So if you do a lot of things where you go out in the field and you're filming a lot, or you want to walk around an office and show something off, that stabilization feature is really cool because you can get away with a lot of just kind of hand holding the camera and being, look at this, look at this. It's really easy to just kind of operate as far as that goes. Um, so those are kind of the cameras that we recommend as far as that goes. And then kind of jumping on to the next pillar there would be audio. So that's the microphone choices. So I didn't actually put, tons of brands and stuff. You'll notice there's kind of a lot of the same brands that are recommended places: the Rode, Sennheiser, Audio Technica, Tascam. There's a number of those brands that are just super dependable. And really, at this point, there's a lot of really rock solid options. So instead, I'll kind of just talk about the types of microphones. So on the left there, you have a dynamic or condenser microphone. These are really, really great. They offer really good quality audio. They're very, very sensitive. You can see it's in a shock mount. It's got a pop filter on it. All of that is there to try and protect the microphone just a little bit because they are so sensitive. What that means is that this is not something that you're going to take out in the field with you. This is podcasting. This is studio recordings. This is places where you're going to set up your camera and not move it. And you're maybe probably not even featuring the person on camera, voiceover work, stuff like that, because they are kind of big and obtrusive as far as that goes. If you are looking for the exact opposite of big and obtrusive and looking for something that you can try to hide on the person a little bit easier or make, just a little bit um, less of an impact, there is this lavalier or lapel microphone in the middle. These are the ones featured are wireless as well, but you can also just get kind of wired packs that record to either, um, you know, internal recorders or straight into your camera and things like that. There's tons of options for lavalier microphones, but the biggest takeaway is that it gets the microphone really, really close to your subject. When we're talking about audio and audio quality, the best way to get higher quality audio is to get that microphone as close as possible to your source. Proximity is key, is what we say. So the closer that microphone is, by having it nice and close to our diaphragm, by having it close to where we're speaking from, we get a really high quality audio recording from that. Um, Not all the time that you are able to use mics like this, right? Sometimes you are outside, you're trying to do more of a field recording, or um, maybe it's just in the era of COVID, you don't want to have a bunch of mics on people if you're doing multiple interviews in a row. So that's where these shotgun or boom microphones come in. You'll see them like the audio guy that's holding it up on a big boom pole. That's why we call them boom poles, boom mics. These are really great at really narrowing and focusing in on sound. So it really you can see the slots on the side that rejects outside audio, and it just tries to focus in on your subject. So it doesn't have to be as close as, say, a lavalier mic, but you still get a really nice and focused audio if you put it just outside of your frame, right? Um, so there are plenty of really good options. If you guys have questions, we can always, give you some recommendations as far as products and brands. We like the DJI mic a lot. Those are super cool. We can always recommend others. But the next pillar that we have here is our types of lights. So we included multiple ones here, but I could kind of jump to it and say the two on the right you probably won't use as often. Incandescent lights, the ones in the middle, those are they're called hot lights. They're like set lights for movies and things like that. It's kind of like, I mean, this is what the technology was before fluorescents or LEDs. You can see it has a Fresnel lens on the front of it, just like a lighthouse would, that allows you to focus that beam of light between very spotlight and nice and flooded, right? So it gives you a lot of control over lighting. You would utilize different modifiers and scrims and all sorts of things to really shape the light the way that you want. Fast forward, technologies kind of improve and just change up, and we get things like fluorescent lights all the way on the right. Those you'll see in studios, or if you set up again podcasting suites, or anywhere that you are keeping a large amount of light on all the time, that you just want really nice even lighting. Fluorescents are awesome for that. LEDs, the option on the left, this is if you are more of a mobile person, right? Fluorescents are very fragile. They break. They're just a glass tube that can break really easy. LEDs are super rugged. They can be battery powered. They are very compact. Unlike the hot lights in the middle, they stay cool. So you can get them very close to people and you don't feel temperature off of them. So they're a very solid choice for most people. They're color tunable. All different kinds are available at this point. And the price point has really come down. You can get, very powerful ones for $60 on Amazon, like there's some really good options out there. And just to kind of wrap up our pillars, the next one here is framing. And we've kind of broken it up here in just a kind of two things to pay attention to in your framing. Um, Obviously the biggest thing is the background, right? You want it to be clean. You don't want anything distracting there, right? One of the big things people mention is if there's a bookshelf behind you or something, right? People are going to be turning their heads to start reading those book titles before long, right? So you want it to be very not too distracting, but you can also add relevant items in. You can, for example, in this framing, it's like pieces of their product are behind them, right? There's a display behind them, so it's very relevant to what they're filming. Also, pay attention to your angles and your distance. You always want the camera to be at eye level. You don't want someone here or like looking down on it strangely. You want very natural looking directly in for normal eye contact. Um, and then usually somewhere in that kind of, you don't want to be super close to the person. Give them, maybe 6 to 10 feet or so. That tends to just give you enough room for a nice, decently wide shot. You don't have to be too close or anything. Um, and it just helps you kind of prepare if you are going into like, offices or anything like that. Sometimes it can be a little bit crowded. So you just want to make sure that you have, 6 to 10 feet or so to be able to work, and you can make it work.
Awesome. All right, we'll hop over to the next slide here. And so this is just our last slide. That kind of wraps up the content portion of it, but we do want to talk about boot camps. So HubSpot Academy Video Boot Camp for Marketing, Sales, and Service. We're currently conducting our Q1 boot camp right now. I think we're in we just finished week 3 of 6. But what boot camp is basically a week by week video presentation where you come, you're more interactive, you're actually on camera, and we have roughly 30 to 40 people as well doing the same thing. And on a weekly manner, we do homework assignments where we actually go out and you can record a video, you record an email signature video, a sales voicemail, so on and so forth. And so on a weekly basis, you will be recording videos. And so the idea of this boot camp is to really fortify all the ideas we just talked about and add more depth to everything, but then coincide it with a weekly manner where you're actually recording videos ever consistently, and you walk away after the 6 weeks being comfortable on camera, understanding what you need to put into the video and how to record it, how to get it edited and wrapped up into a finalized video that you can then send out. So, boot camp is a little bit more intensive in the actual work you have to perform, right? Because there is weekly videos that you would be recording. But if this sounds very interesting to you, if you're really looking to get your company into video and just better understand everything on an overall sense, and then coincide that with just getting more comfortable on camera, understanding concepts, what you can record after you graduate boot camp, definitely a really good opportunity. And yeah, Corey, I see is adding in a link there in the chat to be able to go over there and register for Q2 or future boot camps as well. So check that out. And of course, if you guys have questions on boot camp, we're more than happy to answer those. But we'll jump into our questions portion. And I know there was a few coming in here. Let me scroll up. Yeah, okay. I see here one from Lisa Craig. She asks, is there any tips on vetting someone for a testimonial to be sure they would be good on camera? Um, yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I was talking about, trying to break questions down in a very linear manner, right? So tell us about your experience with us from the beginning point, moving them through that linear path. But what I find to be the best to get someone comfortable on camera is if you're recording them in person, sitting beside the camera and making it very conversational based. The more you talk a little bit beside the camera and look at them and have them kind of communicate with you rather than trying to conduct an interview on camera, it's humanizing that entire situation, right? And so if I'm sitting there and I'm discussing something with you rather than you trying to blurt something out and trying to do it while that lens is just staring you at the face. That's the best situation I try to do, right? So, again, conversating with them rather than presenting it as questions is the best approach there for me. Corey, you have any advice to add on?
Yeah, I mean, it's about creating trust, right? It's about trying to it can be really awkward just to have a conversation with a stranger in general. So before you start filming, just try to chat with the person. How are you? What was your day like? Like if you can try to build a bit of rapport up and start the conversation off on a positive note,
Right.
people tend to be in a little bit better of a mood. And they're more willing to like, oh, okay, cool. This is easy. Sure. I was a little nervous, but this is fine. You're a normal person. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Talking to the camera can be difficult for people. If you do, the normal kind of interview thing where you have them look just off to the camera, you just sit next to the camera and you have them speak directly to you. That is a much easier way to just kind of break down some of the nerves involved with recording. Also, the record light on cameras. Some cameras have that big blinking red light on it. That can be really intimidating to people because it's a constant thing that they see subconsciously. It's really nice for the
Yeah.
camera operator because you're like, oh, cool, I know I'm recording. But they see it and they're like, oh, God, he's recording everything. If you turn that light off and you just kind of start rolling, you can just kind of talk to them. And before long, you're asking them questions and they're like, oh, okay, this is easy. I'm already recording. So great.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, Vanny asks how to make a video stand out from the competition. Creative idea tips. So that's a little bit tougher, right? Because everyone's trying to think of that. That is the end all be all question that everyone wants answered, right? The thing is, try to add value immediately into your video. That's the biggest factor because if someone clicks play and your first 45 seconds is, your introduction animation that spends 20 seconds just doing the same thing on all your videos. And then it's you introducing yourself and welcome to your channel and do this and do that and like and comment and subscribe. And like people are getting out of the video already. Like no one wants to watch that on a monotonous and continuous basis. Throw the information, like what are they getting in the video? What's the value proposition? If you can think of a creative manner to get that in front of their eyeballs as soon as possible, it ropes the viewer in and it keeps them interested, right? So just in any way, shape, or form, in any capacity, bringing a lot of positive infectious energy. We found, Gabriel, our CEO, who's on camera for like all of our videos, he is the most positive and exciting, super excited guy, right? And so putting him on camera just gets viewers going, "Oh wow, like this guy's energy is over the top. Like I want to see what he's about to say." And we found that to be very successful, but of course there are so many different approaches you can take with that. And of course it also depends on the tone of your video and whatnot. But um, yeah, just trying to find some sort of value proposition in the video and getting it into the viewer eyeballs as soon as possible.
I think also just being strategic and rather than trying to overload, that's another one. Like
Yeah.
if people are worried like I need to have 3 videos every week that I produce, like odds are you're going to be making 3 pretty crappy videos after a while. Like instead, why don't you consider like I want to make this video with, certain intention. Maybe it's instead of 3 a week, maybe you do 1 a week or you do every other week or something like that. But you can produce them all at once and kind of batch the content together and then utilize that kind of over time to build that brand affinity and to start driving people to want to come back because it's like, oh, that first episode was pretty easy, it was pretty quick. Let me see what the next one is next
Yep.
week. If you start to overload content on people because you're trying to get popular quick or something, it's just overloading. No one's going to actually watch any of it. It's about generating that long-term strategy, and that will really help with
Yeah,
overall growth in terms of kind of, I guess, video success as far as that standing out from your competition for sure.
for sure. Next question, I did see Brandon asked about a budget mid lavalier microphone. Corey, I did see you put the DJI mic. Yeah, that's the one we're recommending now. It's what, a couple $100, and
Like that
we've
makes
used it
pretty
on a
much
couple
sense.
video shoots, and we've just found it to be so extremely useful. Like it just works. And what we've come to find with, the more advanced the technology, sometimes the more advanced the problems are. But with this, we just pulled it out of the box and it worked. And we were like so blown away that we didn't have to, play with all the minuscule settings and get it to the exact synchronization that we need it to be. Like, no, we just turned it on. It worked. And on top of that, the audio sounded fantastic. So definitely gonna be our recommendation there. All right, more questions. Do you have any platforms you recommend for creating remote videos? Casey asks. Yeah, it depends on the complexity of what you're trying to accomplish, but I would say the best platform to start recording video, uh, you know, remote video specifically, is going to be Soapbox by Wistia. It's actually a Chrome extension plugin, and it's a simple drop down from your computer menu, and you start your video, start your audio. It boots it automatically up, and what you can do, it's super limited, but it's also super easy to learn. It's a very low bell learning curve there. You can record a video, you can trim the edges, you can show what's on your computer screen at the time. So let's say you're trying to showcase something like a website, you can pop back and forth. You can make yourself full screen, the website full screen, or half and half. And it's just a really great tool to start creating easy videos on a very quick basis. A lot of salespeople are now utilizing Soapbox, but there's tools that are very comparable to that. So let's say you're more of a Vidyard person, or you're utilizing Vidyard in any capacity. You can download Vidyard's recorder, and it's basically exactly the same thing. So Vidyard, Soapbox by Wistia are probably the two recommendations. And then we use what's called Descript. It is a free platform that can be paid for the premium version. But Descript is a little bit higher of a learning curve. So if you want a little bit more of a challenge, but Descript offers some really unique features that you won't find in these more simplistic editors. They have an audio enhancement feature where it just pulls all of the frequencies of your voice and enhances them while taking other frequencies and pushing them down. It also has transcription services. So to edit the video, you can actually edit it through the transcribed wording of your recording. So really cool features there. But yeah, those are the three platforms I would recommend in trying to just learn them to get your feet warm in video recording. All right. And then we have Yeah, of course. No problem, guys. And then Brandon had another question here. Any rules for recording multiple angles, multiple cameras during a live session? And I see Corey just put the 180-degree rule there as a link. Corey, you want to talk a little bit about the 180 rule?
Sure. I mean, that mostly comes from kind of the cinema world in general.
Right.
It's maybe not as applicable to like a live session, for example, where you do have like a 3D space. Basically, that you don't have a 3D space to work
Right.
in. You're usually filming in a more kind of 2D, almost like a stage play or something like that. Um, you basically don't have reverse angles, so you have the concept of everything exists in one flat plane, and it's the camera is facing all of it, right? So you don't want to ever do a reverse shot where the camera is in the shot facing you, basically. And then the reasoning for that is when you start to cut back and forth, people start to look the wrong direction in frames, and you'll be looking this way and someone else is looking opposite, and it just starts to confuse the viewer a little bit. There's reasons for breaking it, and there's, ways to do it and kind of ways to block it correctly if you are trying to do kind of a little bit of that breaking. But in general, when you're talking more kind of live presentations or something like that, or something stage based, um, the biggest thing is you're going to need multiple angles. Like you mentioned, you definitely want to always keep a wide on it, and usually a static wide is really nice if you can manage to just keep one camera there all the time. Then you have your additional angles, maybe one telephoto lens that's very nice and close on a fluid head tripod, and you track whoever is the speaker, whoever is the subject talking. If you want to get really fancy, then you start to get into, now let me get maybe a gimbal or a steady cam style setup and start a moving shot or something like a crane or a jib or something, or a dolly, right? There's all these different kind of options for adding an additional level of movement into the shot. And you'll notice, like, right, just start watching things, right? Pay attention to the world, pay attention to what you're seeing, right? Go watch the Grammys, see that as they move to the next shot, it's a boom that kind of comes down, and then it's a stable close up of them, then it's a wide shot of the audience, maybe, right? So start to watch the way that other people, other successful people, are doing these as well, um, and then just kind of model it off of it, right? Um, Realizing that you kind of have to start breaking it down into, like, oh, this is a wide shot, this is a tight, this is a mid shot, this is a moving or tracking shot. Like, just start to kind of break down like a shot list of what they have, and now start to just kind of repeat it, right?
Mhm.
Hopefully that's a little helpful.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Anyone else have any other questions here? Looks like we are at 229, so we're about at our limitation. But I do want to invite everyone back, of course, to the next hug in Q2. We're going to be talking about production, so everything you should be thinking about while you hit that record button, and everything you should be accomplishing. And then, of course, if you guys have additional questions, you can hop over to the study group. You can ask there. Like I mentioned, it's a forum board, so questions are being talked about on a 24/7 basis. And yeah, we're excited to see you in the next HUD. See you, everybody.